Okay, apologies. I was asked to stand by, so I was following as instructed. But this is a do what you can kind of a class. So like I said, it's not necessarily going to be easy, but it is a class that is designed for people who are new to the yoga practice. You know yourself and your body better than anybody. So do what you can in this class, and if you need to take a break or if you need to go a little bit more vigorously, make that call for yourself and go for it. Take advantage of this opportunity to do what it is that you need to do during this hour that we have together. I often have folks ask me what kind of yoga it is that I teach. And maybe if you tell folks you take yoga, they're like, oh, what kind of yoga is it that you take? Always a really great question. This yoga that we practice here together is called Hatha yoga. And Hatha yoga is the yoga that involves physical movement. And you know, we do more than just movement in this class, but we do practice Hatha yoga as opposed to other types of yoga that are more focused on things like meditation or chanting or devotion or breath work, that sort of thing. And I've studied all different kinds of Hatha yoga, Ashtanga and Jivamukti and Iyengar and all of these different schools. And then I pulled out all of the things that I really liked and that worked for me and put them together into the philosophy that I present. And the things that didn't work for me, I set aside for somebody else to teach. But I like to describe the way that I teach this class as this yoga practice we do together is an alignment, physical alignment-based practice. But the way that I teach physical alignment is really inclusive and experiential. And so what I mean by that is I don't necessarily tell you to stand with your feet exactly 1 foot apart. But rather I offer up some cues for general alignment in the body, and then I offer up some suggestions on what you might be feeling, how you could make the posture more comfortable for you, that sort of thing. And the idea behind that is that our bodies are all really different, and we're all at different places at different times. So maybe this Monday, today, you were hiking a mountain all day and now you're taking class. But last Monday, you were Netflix and chilling all day long and then you were taking class. So your body was in two different places. So the way that I teach the class allows you to do what it is that you need to based on how your body is feeling in any given moment. There are schools of yoga thought that alignment should be very, very prescriptive and precise, and that this physical yoga practice that we do is not as much about experiencing sensations in the body or connecting movement and breath, but rather it's about the physical shape that your body is in. So like this is the shape of down dog, for example, but having your body in the shape of a triangle or perfectly straight or having your hands connected to the floor. All of these kinds of things are a different type of a philosophy in this physical practice of yoga. And it's a little bit more of a means to an end, right? So my teaching philosophy is sort of like there's this journey that we're on, and maybe your hands will touch the floor or maybe not, but really the intention or the work that we're doing is around getting there, not around what it looks like at the very end. But with that in mind, I think that it's really important that we have different kinds of perspectives and different kinds of thoughts. And so as I was putting this practice together today, I decided to kind of flip my philosophy on its head a little bit. So certainly still ascribing to this idea that you should do what it is that feels best in your body, and I'm going to guide you into some typical alignment, and then you find what works best for you. But I want to help us create a greater awareness of our bodies in space and what it is that's going on in these postures by, one, talking about the intention in each of these different postures that we're doing. So the intention is not to have your hands touch the floor. It might be to open up your hamstrings, which might be tight today or might not. So the intention in the posture, and then a new way to look at the posture. So we have three different positionings that we take in a yoga practice. We do seated postures, we do standing postures, and then we do reclined postures, which is when you're laying on your back. So I'm going to offer up maybe a new perspective on some old postures that will hopefully help create a greater connection and awareness in your body. Maybe it'll help with your own home yoga practice, but at the very least, we'll get a little bit of a new perspective into our practice today. So, do what you can, and we'll begin by finding a seat, sitting up nice and tall, however is most comfortable for you tonight. And so that means that the weight is evenly distributed between both of your hips, that your spine is nice and long, and that your hands are on your knees or thighs. Your legs can be crossed, as mine are, or if that's not comfortable for you, you can find some sort of an alternative with the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor, like this, for example, or the legs extended. Again, remembering that you're doing whatever it is that works best in your body tonight. You know what you're working with. So make any adjustments you need to, but find a nice tall seat and close your eyes or bring them to a soft gaze. And allow yourself to arrive in this seat. And do your best to let go of your day, of any expectations that you may have for yourself in this moment or in this class. And allow yourself to just connect with the breath, letting go of the thoughts, stilling your body, and just bringing your focus to your inhales and to your exhales. With every inhale, keep sitting up nice and tall in the seat. With each exhale, let the muscles of the face relax. Let the shoulders soften and let go. And take a few full rounds of breath here. Letting yourself transition from wherever you came from into tonight's yoga class. Ready and open for maybe a little different perspective. Still sitting up nice and tall, bring your palms together in prayer position in front of your heart, pressing the heels of the hands and the fingertips together, so there's just a little space in between the palms. And we'll begin our practice together tonight by chanting the sound of Om. We're going to just chant it one time, and you can chant as softly or as loudly as you would like. Take a full exhale. And a full inhale for Om. Release your hands and gently let your eyes flutter open. From here, we're going to make our way onto our backs, starting out in a reclined position. So typically in my class, we start off with seated postures, but tonight for a different perspective, we'll begin laying down and make your way down to the floor however works best for you. And we'll begin with the knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And find a nice long spine here. So maybe pressing the back of the head into the mat as you lift the shoulders up, nestling them down on the back. Find a nice long spine here with the low back pressed into the floor. And then extend your legs straight out so that the legs are straight and feet are hip width apart and parallel. And then if you need to keep a little soft bend in the knees, that's fine. But flex the feet, envisioning like the floor is underneath them. Maybe you'll see where I'm going with this in a moment. Shoulders are nestled down on your back. Arms are down by your sides with your palms face up, and you're looking straight up towards the ceiling. Now this is a little bit of like an engaged Shavasana, which is usually our final resting posture. But to shift your perspective a little bit, notice if this maybe is a little bit like a reclined mountain pose or Tadasana. So envision that the floor is beneath your feet and that your back maybe is up against a wall, so you're standing up extra tall and supported. So reclined Tadasana. On an inhale, still keeping your legs straight, keeping the feet flexed, extend your arms straight up towards the ceiling. We're stacking the wrists over the shoulders, arms are straight, and hands are flexed like you're pressing your hands into the ceiling. Check it out. Is there any effort going on here? Maybe there's some for extending the arms up. But notice this posture that we're in right now. It might look a little bit like plank pose, which is top of a push-up. Now in plank, we're usually using some abdominal muscles, and if you're not using them right here, think about pulling your lower abs in, squeezing the glutes, staying nice and strong. All right, excellent. Keep breathing. As you inhale, keep your hands in the position that they're in, so they're flexed, pressing the palms upward. On an inhale, you're going to reach your arms up overhead, maybe bringing your fingertips to touch the floor behind you. So now you're extended, the arms are up overhead, your fingertips are either touching the floor or pointed towards the floor because your hands are flexed back. Now, this, if you will, is a reclined handstand. I know, but think about the floor being underneath your hands here. You're pressing into the hands, you're strong in the body, you're flexing through the feet to keep the rest of the body rigid. All right, nice job. Maybe you're getting a stretch in the wrists. It's part of the intention here. And if you're not, that might just mean that your wrists aren't tight right now. Inhale to bring the palms back up towards the ceiling. Exhale to release the arms down by your sides. Bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. And then cross the right ankle over the left thigh. And then pull the legs in towards the body. My arms are down by my sides with the palms down. Both feet are flexed. And again, I've got the right ankle across the left thigh. And I've got my left shin parallel to the floor. This is called a reclined figure 4. And the intention in this posture is to get into the hips, to get some stretching and some opening in the hips. And in this position, we're getting it on the right side. So for some of you, this might feel really intense. For others of you, you might be like, I don't quite understand. And that might mean if you're not feeling it in this right hip, that you're actually pretty open already. Exhale to release both feet to the floor, and we'll switch sides. So cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Keep both feet flexed, and you're going to bring the right shin up to parallel as you press the legs more in towards the body. This time we're getting into the left hip in this reclined figure 4. Use your breath. And your shin doesn't have to be at parallel. So if this is really intense on your body, you might have the legs a little bit further away from you in order to make this something that feels accessible for you. And that's totally fine if you do. On an exhale, lower both feet down to the floor. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees be wide for reclined bound angle pose. See if you can relax through the hips and through the inner thighs. And then getting some engagement in the abdominal muscles, so pulling in the lower belly. If you have to poke at it to find out where the lower abdominals are, you can do that with your hand. But get nice and strong there. And then we're going to pull the feet up so they're still connected together. Knees are still wide. Still in this reclined bound angle pose, but a little bit more like when we're in a seated version, but laying back. So feet are together and knees are wide. And then if you can, take your hands to your shins or ankles. Maybe you can get the feet a little bit closer. Get nice and strong in the belly, so press the low back into the floor, pull the glutes in, and on an exhale, see if you can lift your head and shoulders up off of the mat so that you're curling in. We're still holding on to the shins or ankles. Exhale to lower the shoulders and head back down to the mat. Release your feet down to the floor and your arms down by your sides. Hug your knees in towards your chest and gently rock from side to side or from front to back, whatever feels good for you here. And then from here, we're going to keep rocking forward and back until you come up to a seated position. And if you're like, yeah, no, that rolling thing really doesn't work well for my spine or my back or whatever, your neck, then don't do that. And you can just come on up and join me in a seated position. All right, nice job. So we're going to come to legs extended straight out in front in staff pose. I'm going to get my technology adjusted here. And in this posture, we've got the shoulders aligned over the hips. There's this 90-degree angle at the hips. Feet are flexed, legs are straight. And we're sitting up nice and tall. Fingertips are on either side of the hips. Nice. From here, bring your hands to your shins with the elbows tucked in. Still sitting up nice and tall. And then extend the fingertips out as far as they'll go. Maybe it goes out more past the knees. Still sitting up nice and tall. On an exhale, let your hands go as far forward as they can. Let your shoulders round. Pull the belly in. This is one of those few times that we're rounding the shoulders. Notice if maybe this is like a seated version of when we're standing in forward fold. All right, walk the hands in as the torso rises up. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees are wide, and then hold on to the ankles and sit up nice and tall. So this is called Uttanasana or bound angle pose, Cobbler Pose. And the intention in this posture is to get some opening on the inner thighs and in the hips. And we just did a reclined version of this. On an exhale, we're going to start to hinge forward, rounding in. Now, when we did this in a reclined position, we were using a lot of abdominal muscle. So why was that? Because in the reclined position, we were going against gravity. And in this position, even though our body is still in the same shape, gravity is working in our favor. So rather than getting some strength building, we're getting some stretching through the back. Nice. Inhale and lift the torso back up. Use your hands to guide the knees together and then scoot around so that you're in a tabletop position on all fours. And we're just lining up the hips over the knees, the shoulders over the wrists, and just do some movements here that might feel good for you. So that might be doing circles with the hips. That might be doing some cat-cow. But tune into your body here. See what's going to feel good and get some movement going through the spine, the shoulders, the hips. I know, it's crazy when you're given the option to do whatever it is that feels good in the body. And so I'm hoping that the more you become connected with the practice and with yourself, the more you'll become comfortable making those choices. All right, come to stillness on all fours. Step the right foot forward to a low lunge and bring your hands up to your hips. If you need to cushion the back knee, you can fold the mat over or use a blanket. And in this posture, make sure that you're feeling nice and stable. So if you need to scoot your right foot more towards the edge of the mat, you can do that. As you exhale, we're going to shift the weight in the hips forward. So notice my ears, shoulders, and hips are still aligned. I'm keeping that all in one motion as the weight moves forward, as my front knee moves forward. And in this posture, there's an opening that's going on through the left quad, inner thigh, and hip flexor. And that might be really prevalent for you. You might really be feeling that right now. Or maybe this side is pretty well stretched at this point in the day. Exhale to release to come back to center. Hands come back to the floor and we'll switch sides. So step the right knee back as the left foot comes forward. Get yourself situated however you need to get stable here, and bring your hands up to your hips. Nice. All right, make any necessary adjustments. In case you can't see it, by the way, my back toes are pointed, so the top of the foot is connected to the mat. All right, strong and steady as you exhale. We'll shift the weight forward, opening up on this right side of the body. Use your breath. Stay strong in the belly and hug in to the thighs here. All right, bring your hands to the floor and come on back to a tabletop position. Walk your hands forward a couple of inches. Walk the knees back a couple of inches. Tuck your toes, so that means your heels are lifted, and come on up to plank, top of a push-up. So in this plank, you've got your shoulders over your wrists. You're up on your toes. The body is nice and straight. Your core is engaged. And this is exactly like when we were standing in mountain pose, when we were laying on our back, rather, extending the hands up towards the ceiling, right? So again, gravity, strength. When we're laying on our back with the feet flexed and the hands towards the ceiling, not quite the same thing as in plank pose with me continuing to carry on. You're doing a great job. If you need to drop your knees, you're always welcome to do that. Steady breath. All right, keep your hands and feet where they are. Press into the hands and move your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Nice work. Pedal the feet out here. So alternate, bending each knee, moving each heel closer to the floor, getting some movement in the hips. Nice. And then come to stillness. And walk your feet up towards your hands so that you are at a forward fold at the top of your mat. So feet are hips distance apart and parallel. Knees are, legs are as straight as they can be, but if you need a bend in the knees, that's totally fine. We're folding forward at the hips. Hands are free to connect wherever feels comfortable. So a block might be nice here, or maybe you can touch the floor or your shins. Let your head relax. So this is Uttanasana, or forward fold. This is also very much like the version of Paschimottanasana, or that seated forward bend that we just did. On an inhale, come up halfway to a flat back. So hands are on your thighs, elbows are tucked in, nice flat spine as you look down at the floor. This is a lot like Dandasana or staff pose, but in a standing position. So imprint this shape in your into your memory so that next time you're on Dandasana, maybe you can find something similar to this. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. And then bend your knees. Inhale, reach your arms wide, come all the way up. Arms up overhead, connect the palms. Exhale, and hands come to your heart. Nice. Bring your feet to hips distance apart and parallel, and get really present in this mountain pose or Tadasana. So feel all four corners of your feet rooted. Energy's pulling up from the center of the foot, engaging through the calves, the kneecaps, the thighs, nice and strong in the belly as you stand up nice and tall. And then release your arms down by your sides with your palms facing straight ahead. So when we were laying on the mat, I'd said, this is just like laying down in Tadasana. So here we are in Tadasana, which is a lot like standing up in Shavasana. What? I know, that's why I thought it would be fun to do this today and just talk about it, think about it, get you thinking about something different. Inhale and float your arms up overhead. Shoulders are relaxed, you're really strong in the belly. And then you're going to turn your hands so that your palms are facing straight ahead, and then you're going to bend the wrists so that you've got your palms pressing up towards the ceiling. So again, this is extended mountain pose. Take a look up towards the ceiling while you're here. So lucky for you, this is a beginning yoga class, because if this was the advanced yoga class, you would know that this posture is the sign that we're definitely doing handstand. My teacher would always do this. We knew we were going to do handstand, but luckily, this is as close as we're getting to handstand today. But envision here, nice and strong, Imagine that your hands are pressing into the floor and that your feet are extending up towards the ceiling. Maybe that's hard to envision, but try it out. Nice. All right, come back to center, exhale, and release your arms down by your sides. Shake it out a little bit. Good work. All right. Find yourself up at the top of your mat if you're not there already. Stand up nice and tall. And then bring your awareness to your left foot. And staying nice and strong in the upper body and in the legs, begin to shift your weight into the left leg. As you inhale, we're going to try to reach the right foot off of the floor, maybe lifting the knee up towards your body. Okay, so release that. Let go of it for just a second. So we're talking about shapes. We're also talking about accessibility in class today. So while the shape that we're moving towards in this posture is we're moving towards somewhere right here, if you're not able to get here tonight, that's totally fine, because the intention in this posture is to get strong, steady, and balanced. The shape is the very last component of it, and it would be no fun if we could just automatically do it. So if you're in a place where you're just kind of working on getting your foot off the floor tonight, totally cool. So, all right, here we go. We get to do that side again, just because I talked through it. So find yourself on your left foot once again, nice and grounded. You know where we're going this time. You're standing up nice and tall. Begin to shift your weight. And as you inhale, see if you can get some space between your right foot and the floor, maybe even getting the knee up. Wherever you're at, stay as steady as you can in the left foot. If you're able to bring your hands around the standing knee, or the lifted knee, rather, then do that. Nice. Steady breath here. All right. Bring your left hand to your left hip. And keeping your right hand on the right knee, gently let the right knee open out to the side. And if your foot is still connected to the floor, that's totally fine. Just do your best. The intention here is to be as balanced as you can in the left foot while getting some opening through the right knee and the right hip. All right, gently bring it back to center. Both hands are on the hips as you lower your right foot to the floor. And shake it out a little bit. Nice job. So I'm hoping that when you did that, you were like, whoa, I'm surprising myself. Or yay, I'm good at this. Or yay, I'm trying this out even though this isn't going so well for me. But oftentimes that's not what happens when we're doing balancing postures. We're falling over, we're sweating, the cat's running by us, and all these other things. So if that's you and you're like, oh, God, I hate this balance stuff, know that you're not alone in that. And use this opportunity to not only get better at balancing, but also at being better at being kind to yourself. Right side. Okay. Take a look down at that right foot. Make sure that it is firmly rooted, that you're standing up nice and tall. Begin to shift your weight and see if you can start to lighten the load on the left side, flexing the left foot, bending the left knee. If you can create space between your foot and the floor, knee comes up towards hip height. Excellent. If you're able to take the hands around the shin, go for it. If the hands are still on the hips, that's cool as well. Great opportunity to give yourself credit for trying this thing out right now. Or give yourself credit for taking a break because you know it's not a good idea for you. All right. Right hand comes to the hip, left hand stays on the bent knee as you open the left knee out to the side. We try to keep both hips square to the front of the mat. Left foot stays flexed. And again, if your foot is still connected to the floor, totally fine. Just stand up nice and tall. All right. On an exhale, bring the knee back to center. Hands come to the hips, lower the foot, and once again, shake it out. All right. Nice work. Find mountain pose once again up at the top of your mat. Inhale and float the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Walk your way back to plank, top of a push-up. Shoulders over wrists, nice and strong through the belly. Press into the hands, move the hips up and back to downward facing dog, nice long spine. And then walk your hands back towards your feet so that you're at the back of your mat in a forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips, press into your feet, and come on up to standing. Nice job. All right, so here we are at the back of our mat, which is, that kind of shifts the perspective a little bit because we're always up at the top of the mat. So here we are at the back. What's happening next? Well, find yourself in mountain pose back here and stand up nice and tall. Bring your awareness to your left foot and begin to shift your weight, standing up nice and tall, freeing the right foot, and bring the right foot to the inner left ankle for tree pose. Now, you're welcome to place the foot on the inner calf or the inner thigh if you would like to. Totally yogi's choice. I'm sticking with the ankle tonight. When you find your tree, bring your palms together in prayer in front of your heart. Vrksasana. So the intention in this posture is to stay really grounded and strong in the standing leg. The shape is to have the leg be as straight as possible and the lifted knee to be bent and pointed out towards the side. On an inhale, grow your branches up overhead so that you're standing up nice and tall. On an exhale, you're going to hinge at the hips and you're going to fold forward, staying in this tree pose, bringing your fingertips down towards the floor or maybe a block. What? So we're now in a tree forward fold. Now, if your foot was in your inner groin or in the inside of the calf, you may have needed to adjust your foot positioning. And if you did, perfect. Good job in listening to where you're at with this tonight. All right, still in tree pose, begin to walk your hands forward. We're going to come into tree plank or a fallen tree. So that means shoulders are over the wrists, right foot is pressing into the left leg is straight. And again, your right foot is at the ankle, the calf, or up at the inner thigh. Now give yourself a break. If you're like, whoa, this is more than I should be doing right now, feel free to relax and take a child's pose for a moment. Otherwise, take advantage of this opportunity. Keep your hands and foot where they are. Move the hips up and back to a tree downward dog. Oh my goodness. So the shape here is like a down dog shape, but you've got the right foot against the left leg and the knee is pointed out to the side. We're trying to find space in the hips and in the back of the body. Walk your hands in towards your foot so that you're at the back of your mat in your tree forward fold once again. Remember, if you've got to release the foot, that's totally fine. All right, press into the standing foot. Come on up to standing, palms together at your heart. And then bring the right knee forward, lower the foot, shake it out a little bit. Oh my goodness. So I know that some of you may have done that sequence with me in the past, and some of you may have been like, I've never done anything with tree other than just standing up with tree. But I demonstrate doing that little sequence to show you that you can do whatever it is that you want with this yoga practice that feels right in your body. Now that little sequence is a great workout and feels a little bit awkward in the body, honestly, because the foot's, connecting, but it gave you a focus and it gave you something familiar and yet different. So lucky for us, we have the other side to try out with this new perspective on tree. So find mountain pose, stand up nice and tall, and remember, just do your best. Give yourself credit for trying it out tonight. Right foot is firmly rooted. Start to shift your weight, freeing the left foot, again, placing it against the ankle, the calf, or the inner thigh. You know that we're doing this kind of different thing right now, so maybe that alters your choice, but you can always change your decision. All right, you're standing as tall and steady as tree as you can. Reach your arms up overhead. Branches lifted. Make sure that you're breathing. Nice. Connect the palms. Exhale to bring your hands to your heart. And then we're going to hinge at the hips and start to fold forward. It helps to press that left foot into the standing leg and the standing leg into the foot if this feels wobbly. If you need to bend the standing leg, do that. There's a very good chance you need to. Okay, good job, especially for trying this out. Begin to walk your hands forward as we come into plank tree pose or fallen tree. And don't shortchange yourself. So find a legitimate plank pose here, nice and strong, and then press that left foot into the right leg. Nice job. Make sure you're breathing. Keep your hands and your right foot where they are. Press into the hands, move the hips up and back for a down dog tree pose. Nice work. All right, walk your hands in towards the back of the mat, towards the standing foot. See if you can keep that left foot connected to the right leg as you come on up to standing, bringing your palms together in prayer. Woo, nice job. Bring the knee forward, lower the foot. Shake it out a little bit. So good job for playing along with that, especially if you've never done it before. That can be a little bit like, what's happening next? So I'm glad you were here to try it out. Find yourself again in mountain pose at the back of your mat. Stand up nice and tall. Close your eyes for a moment. Find mountain pose here. If you're feeling tired, you can pretend that this is a standing Shavasana moment. Allow your eyes to open as you inhale. Float the fingertips up overhead. With the left hand, grab the right wrist and arch over towards the left side. Keep your feet rooted. We're trying to get some space through the right side of the torso. Inhale to come back to center and switch sides. So right hand grabs the left wrist. Shoulders are relaxed away from the ears as you arch over to the right side. And as you do this, make sure that your weight stays even between both hips. So really think about pressing into that left foot if it's starting to get a little light. Inhale to come back to center. Reach your fingertips up towards the sky. Take a look up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way down. Walk yourself forward to a downward facing dog. Hands are shoulder width apart, feet are hips distance apart. You want to go into plank and then make your way into down dog to get the spacing of the hands and feet right. You're welcome to do that. Walk your feet in towards your hands, coming to the center of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips, press into the feet, and come on up to standing. And then come to a wide-legged stance on the mat. So notice my feet are on the outside of the edges. Turn the heels in just a little bit so that you're being kind to your knees here. As you exhale, hinge forward and come to a flat back. So we're looking down at the floor, core is tucked in, hands are on your hips, legs are as straight and as strong as they can be. And then bring your left hand to the floor or a block. If the floor seems far away from you, that can be a nice opportunity for a block. As you do this, the right fingertips lift for a twist. Exhale to release the right hand down and switch sides. Inhale to reach the left arm up. Right hand is connected to the floor or a block. Exhale to release the left hand back down, and then let yourself fold as far forward as feels comfortable for you here. Bring your hands to your hips and come up to a flat back once again. Hands are on the thighs, elbows are tucked in as you look down at the floor. And in this posture, to shift your perspective, now just envision that the floor is underneath the backside of your body, so like you're seated, sitting upright. Whoa. Don't worry, we'll have an opportunity to do that. All right, hands come to the hips. Come on up to standing. Nice. And if you have a block, you can set it off to the side. Find yourself in mountain pose up at the top of your mat. Inhale to float the arms up. Exhale to hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Inhale up halfway to a flat back. Exhale and fold all the way back down. Bend your knees. Inhale, reach the arms wide as you come on up. And then bring your hands to heart center. Nice. All right. Bring your awareness once again to your left foot, feeling it pressing into the floor, getting really active in that left leg. Strong in the core. Start to shift your weight, and on an inhale, we'll start to free the right foot from the floor, seeing if you can get your right knee up towards hip height. And again, if you don't make it to hip height, don't worry about it. Stand up nice and tall. All right. Wherever you're at, left hand comes to the bent knee. And see if you can inhale to bring the right arm behind you. And maybe you can even follow the right hand behind you. Steady breath, nice and strong here. Gently unwind back to center and lower the foot down to the floor. Shake it out. And then other side. So bring your attention to the right foot and feel it really pressing into the mat. Stand up nice and tall, strong in the belly. Start to shift your weight. As you inhale, see if you can lift your left knee up in front of you. Steady breath and really do your best to be encouraging to yourself here. Bring your right hand to the bent knee. And again, if your toes are connected to the floor, that's okay. As you inhale, we're going to sweep the left arm behind. And maybe you can even follow with your gaze. All right, exhale to unwind back to center. Lower your foot down. Shake it out a little bit. Nice. You've done a lot of balancing and new perspectives on things today, so really great work. Find one more mountain pose up at the top of your mat. Stand up nice and tall. Extend your arms straight out in front of you. Fingers are pointed up towards the ceiling, so hands are flexed. Yes, have to make sure that we get a standing plank pose. Inhale to bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. If you need to come down to your knees first, that's totally fine. But I love all these different variations of plank, but truly this version of plank is the most beneficial on the body from a strength perspective. Steady breath. Press the hips up and back to downward facing dog. And then lower the knees. Bring the big toes together. Let your knees be wide as you move your hips back into a child's pose or balasana. Fingertips are reaching up towards the top of the mat here. In this posture, the intention here is to find length in the spine. And the shape of the posture is often to move the hips towards the heels, but I like to offer up perhaps having your hips up a little bit higher for those of us who've got tight low backs, knee problems, that sort of thing. As if your hands are on a keyboard, begin to walk your fingertips towards the right side. So both hands are going off the mat because you have this grand long piano that's just going and going and going. We're arching over towards the right side. The left hand goes on top of the right hand as you pull the left hip back for a side stretch. And then make your way through center. So again, like your fingertips are on a magnificent piano keyboard, work your way over towards the left side. Hands walk off of the mat. The lower part of your body is still in this child's pose position. Right hand goes over the left hand as you pull the right hip back. On an inhale, walk your hands back towards the center. And then walk your hands in as the torso rises up and scoot around to a seat on your mat. And we'll be in the seated portion in Dandasana or staff pose. So sitting up nice and tall. And then bring your hands to your thighs or shins. So much like pike pose or that standing flat back posture. As you exhale, hinge forward, reach as far as your hands can go. You can let the shoulders round. Here we are. This is like a seated version of Uttanasana or forward fold. Getting an opening through the backs of the legs and around the spine. Inhale to reach the arms up overhead and exhale to release them down by your sides. Come to a wide-legged seat. And in this wide-legged seat, make sure you can sit up nice and tall. So don't worry about if this is the widest seat you've ever taken, but rather think of this as, it's actually called wide angle pose. And if you need to, pull the fleshy part away from your sits bones so your hips are really rooted. Legs are as straight as they can be and your feet are flexed. And just so that you know, if your knees need to be bent here, don't worry about it. I have very flexible knees, so my legs will always be straight. For some of you, this is going to look like this. And that's totally fine as well. You're still getting a nice opening in the inner thighs. So don't worry if your legs are not straight. All right, sit up nice and tall. Turn your torso towards the right leg. And then as you exhale, you're going to maintain this twist, keeping the chest aligned with the extended leg. And we're going to hinge forward. Keep the shoulders down on the back so that your neck is nice and long here. On an inhale, come back up to center. And then we'll switch sides. So turn the torso towards the left leg. There's definitely a twist going on. So notice my hands are connected to the floor to help me maintain that. And then as you exhale, hinge forward over the left leg. Make sure that right hip stays rooted. Nice long spine. Inhale to come back up to center, sitting up nice and tall. And then from here, extend your hands straight out in front of you. So arms are straight. Palms are facing towards me, so the fingers are towards the ceiling. All right. So this is much like when we're standing in a wide-legged bend and folding forward. But goodness, this version there's a little bit more ease right here. Again, gravity. On an inhale, you're going to sweep your right arm out to the side. If you can, turn and see if you can see your right hand. Exhale to come back to center, flexing the right hand in front. As you inhale, sweep the left arm behind you, twisting. Again, this is a seated version of wide-legged forward fold twist. Nice. Exhale to come back to center. Again, arms are in front of you. You're pressing the heels of your hands forward with the shoulders on the back. Nice. Exhale to lower your hands down to the floor, keeping your knees and toes pointed towards the ceiling. Just walk your hands forward as far as is comfortable. Remember, the intention is stay grounded in the hips and get some opening in the inner thighs. So don't feel like you need to be putting your elbows on the floor. Inhale to walk the hands in and lift the torso back up. Using your hands, gently come behind the knees and bring the feet together. Nice. So knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor. And your feet are about hips distance apart and parallel, and you're sitting up nice and tall. Okay, so we did a lot of down dog in class tonight, and I've really been trying to work on like what does like a seated / reclined down dog look like. And I'm not totally sure, but we're going to try it out tonight anyway. What I can guarantee you is it's probably not easy. So just do your best with it. So you know what down dog looks like. The shape of down dog is this triangular kind of pyramid shape. So we're going to try that from a seated posture using the abdominal muscles. So nice and strong. We're going to tip back. Can you straighten your legs? Can you straighten your arms? Do I look like I'm in down dog? I'm not really sure. I don't know if you are either, but just do your best wherever you're at. Imagine your hands are pressing into the floor, fingertips. toes. All right, exhale, come back to a seated position. Oh my goodness, that was ridiculous. Good job for trying it out and playing along with me. I know that I did not look anything like being in downward dog, but it's a cool idea to try and kind of shift your perspective a little bit. So excellent work with that. Oh, good news. From here, we get to recline. So make your way on to your back and do that however works best for you tonight. You've put a lot of effort into all of these new perspectives and different ways of doing these postures. So make your way down and lay so that each of your vertebrae are nestled in on top of one another. Nice long spine. We'll start with the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor. Make sure that the shoulders are nestled down on your back so the neck is nice and long. And release your arms down by your sides with your palms face down. Extend both legs straight up so that the feet are pressing up towards the ceiling. And have your legs as straight as they can be, feet are flexed. Bring your hands to your thighs. Elbows are connected to the floor. And notice this is just like pike pose or halfway lift when we're standing. So if you envision your feet are on the floor right now and you're looking down at the floor rather than the ceiling. Whoa, upside down. A little bit harder to do when we're standing, but there's a little bit more action going on in the legs here as we're reclined. And you're experiencing this nice sensation of this inversion that creates calmness and relaxation that you don't get when we're upside down. Nice job. Okay. Keep the feet extended up towards the ceiling. Reach your fingertips up, then get strong in the belly. And as you exhale, lift your shoulders and head up off the mat. You can let your shoulders round. You're reaching towards your toes. And notice this is like a reclined forward fold. So we've done it in a seated version, a standing version, and this is a reclined forward fold. Steady breath. Make sure you're still breathing. As you exhale, gently lower your shoulders and head down to the mat. Release your arms down to the floor. Nice job. And then place your left foot on the floor. Right foot is still extended up towards the ceiling. Bring your hands behind the right thigh as you pull the leg a little bit closer to the body. And if it feels good, you can walk your hands a little bit further up the right leg. Left foot is grounded and connected to the floor for extra stability and protection. Hug the right knee in towards the chest and extend the left leg straight out on the mat. Both feet are flexed here. Whoa, I love this. This is a reclined version of when we stand on one foot and try to get the knee up towards the chest. Certainly a lot easier in a reclined position. So especially if you struggle with this standing, take advantage right now of really getting a nice long spine, strong belly, your standing leg, which is the left leg, is engaged. So really nail this posture, like getting the shape as precise as you can. Cool. All right, extend your right arm out to a T. Left hand stays on the bent knee. We're going to work on guiding the bent leg across the body for a twist. Both feet stay flexed. And if you want, maybe turn your head towards your right hand. Whoa. So this is much like that revolved standing bent knee posture that we did earlier. Again, because you have gravity on your side here and you're not worried about balancing, you might actually feel a nice stretch through the right hip or anywhere else that needs it when you're not focusing on the balance. Exhale to unwind back to center, hugging the right knee in towards the chest. And then place the right foot on the floor. As you inhale, you'll reach the left foot up towards the ceiling. And hands come behind the right thigh as you work towards straight around the left thigh, as you work towards straightening the left leg. You can walk your hands up the leg a little bit if that feels good, pulling it a little closer to the body. Hug the left knee in towards your chest and extend the right leg straight out on the mat. Right foot is, both feet actually, are flexed, but your right leg is straight. Again, find a nice shape here that maybe you can't achieve when we're standing on one foot. Shoulders are down on the back, knee is hugged in towards the chest. Standing leg, which would be the right leg, is straight. Extend your left arm out to a T. And with your right hand, gently guide the knee across the body for a twist. And, only go as far as your body wants to tonight. So don't force it into something it doesn't agree with. Discomfort arises for a reason, so do listen to it. If you can, turn your head towards the left hand. Use your breath and take advantage of the support of the floor here to really experience this bent knee twist. All right, gently come back to center, hugging both knees in towards your chest, gently rocking from side to side or front to back. Lower your feet to the floor. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees go wide for reclined bound ankle pose like we did in the beginning. Make sure your shoulders are nestled down on your back. Arms are down by your sides with your palms face up. And this is going to be our final resting posture before Shavasana. You're welcome to stay in this posture for Shavasana if it feels good for you. Or for a more traditional version, you can straighten the legs, extending them down on the mat, feet mat width apart. And unlike we did in the beginning where we were mimicking mountain pose, here you just relax. So let the feet rest. Arms are down by your sides with your palms face up. Close your eyes and enjoy the firm support of the floor beneath you. Let all of this effort and perspective sink into your body and your consciousness, and just rest. There is no more effort. Allow your breath to start to deepen. And bring some movement back to your toes and your fingers. On your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead and extend your legs out nice and long like we did at the very beginning. That nice long stretch. Hug your knees in as you roll on to your right side. And then using as little effort as possible and keeping your eyes closed, make your way up to a seat. sitting up nice and tall as we did in the beginning. And when you find that seat, bring your palms together in prayer in front of your heart. I hope that our practice together tonight has maybe given you a little bit of a new perspective on the different shapes that our bodies are in when we're either standing, reclining, or sitting in these yoga postures, how gravity influences it. And maybe it's given you some ideas of things that you can do to modify or to work on your own home practice. At the very least, I hope you're feeling a little bit more connected. We'll close our practice by chanting Om, and we'll chant it just one time. Take a full exhale. And an inhale for Om. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you with great respect. Namaste. Great work. Thanks for showing up to class tonight and putting in your excellent effort. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Be well.